Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the top percentage gaining small caps from today. And so these were all the big winners today, and the first three stocks are stocks that were discussed, that we people were trading in our chat today. Some other ones as well, but some other ones in this video as well. But the first three were discussed throughout the day, and yeah, I wanted to cover these first for everyone. Yeah, please come check out the chat if you've checked it out and then you wonder where everyone's at. It's because we're on the premium channel and in the different premium chats, and so yeah, I have to give you access to that when you come. So if you've come to if you've tried to check out the chat but it didn't work out, you didn't know where everybody was, please respond to my private message. I'll give you access and you can come check it out, and then you can see all the information. Everything's saved. You can scroll back. There's plays, technical analysis, just tons of information all through the day. And so yeah, if you like the videos, I would think that you would like the chat and the information that we provide. Okay, so first up is ticker symbol DARE, and this closed up 57% today, so that was a huge move. Congrats to everybody that was trading this. Good job. It did close with RSI at 66 here, Fasto at 73, a big spike here on ADX with that green line having a big spike. And so the big move today was this close above the green line, which is the 50-day simple moving average. That's going to be the key level to turn into support. That's at 108. And so if that level can hold, then this new uptrend should continue. And it's been trying to turn this middle Bollinger Band down here at 88 into support. The red flag on the chart is there is a gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today. If the candles pull back and drop below the 50-day simple moving average, you could see that gap possibly fill. So it has to stay above the 50-day simple moving average to remain to be a good play. Now in our chat, which I just discussed earlier, I did post alerts as this was coming up to this key resistance zone. And as you can see, this closing price here on the 6th of March, it was the big level to break. That was the top of this prior channel. And so yeah, alerts were put out that if it hits that, it could be a temporary top. As you could see, it hit that level and pulled back. That was high of day. So yeah, if you like those kind of alerts, yeah, definitely come check out the chat. Now it's going to need a break above that level to head higher. If it can bust through this 140 resistance zone, the next target is going to be the 100-day simple moving average at 170. Now if you look here at the DARE 15-minute chart, you can see here it it pulled back into the close, and so it had actually we'll just go down here with this. It had the close below the middle Bollinger Band, and so that is a red flag. Our strategy with the penny stocks is to head to the sidelines if this middle Bollinger Band breaks, just because you're taking on added risk. I know everybody doesn't have the luxury of being able to day trade, and some people have to hold overnight if you're don't have day trading ability. And so when that happens and you load down here and then the middle Bollinger Band breaks down into the close, it has to get back above that level the next day in order to head higher. So for DARE, if 128 is resistance tomorrow, that's going to be a red flag. It could consolidate. You could see it come down here, test this whole low close level of the day, after it made that morning spike. And if that dropped, then the risk is that when the middle Bollinger Band turns into resistance, they always pull back to that 50 simple moving average on the 15-minute chart. That's how it works. And so for this, this is a big downside risk. It could drop down to 105. If you look over here, the 50-day simple moving average is at 108. And so yeah, you don't want it to break down here and drop below the low close. So above 128 signals more upside. And then if it busts through 128 tomorrow, what you want to see is a break above this 141 level. That's the high close here at 2 o'clock. A break above that level would signal more upside potential. Okay, let's look at EYPT. Closed up 19% today. This stock's on a really good run. It does have RSI up here at 82, so it's pretty frothy. You've got Fasto up here, hitting 87. As you can see, look at how the black line's getting ready to cross the red line to the downside. It could take a breather if that happens. And you know, you could see here when it down ticked that was on these red candles, and that's when the black line crossed over the red line to the downside. Same thing right here. You could see how it was spiking right here, and then you had that pullback and the break through the red line. That's these two red candles. Each of these two red candles were lined up with the black line breaking the red line to the downside on the fast stow. And so if this black line breaks over the red line, that would be your signal that some red candles could be coming. It is pushing hard above that upper Bollinger Band, so it has a really nice uptrend going. It's trading above all the moving averages. It's riding EMA 4 down here at 202 support higher. So this is just, it's firing on all cylinders. It just could be getting a little ahead of itself here with this candle well above the upper Bollinger Band. As you can see, this candle right here was well above the upper Bollinger Band, and it worked its way in, well above, worked its way in. This is well above. The odds are it works its way in. I mean, that's been the pattern. And when you have RSI at 82 and Fasto at 87, there's not a lot of juice in the tank. And so, you know, by pulling back, taking a little breather, you know, that resets the indicators a little bit and gives you a little more juice to push higher. Now keep an eye on EMA 4 at 202. If that level breaks, then that would be your signal that the chart's cooling down. As you can see, the pink line's been holding the whole time during this current uptrend. And so a close below would be a bearish change in trend, and that would just signal that the chart isn't as bullish and it could have some consolidation. As long as this middle Bollinger Band way down here at 142 is holding, and the 300-day simple moving average, the uptrend's intact. It's just most people don't want to ride from 240 all the way down to $1.40 to test to see if that uptrend is still going to hold. Okay, because as far as we're concerned, penny stocks like this are short-term trading vehicles, right? This is not a long-term investment. That's just our theory, and you know, you're welcome to disagree with that. But the bottom line is that this big old volume bar here, to me, that's looking climax spike-ish. That looks like a climax spike. You know, you have two green candles in a row with the big one. Notice that each time it's pulled back, it's been on the bigger spike. Notice how it's a bigger spike. Bigger spike. Each time it's it's on the bigger spike, and then it pulls back. Bigger spike, likely to pull back. I mean, that's just, you know, the way it goes. Now it could keep pushing higher, and so if you look here at the weekly chart, you know, because that happens, you never know that you never know how high they're going to take it. And so the two levels you want to watch here are this close over here in May, this high close at about 225. It needs to close above that level for the week. That was the recent high close. I mean, you have this one, or not recent, but that's the resistance level that it's hitting here. This is from back in 2017. You know, you can see this is a big zone, because if it breaks above this zone, you know, you have some resistance up here. But the bottom line is it could run all the way up to that 200 and 300 week moving average up here at 290. So that would be the target if it can stay above this 230 level and continue with this strong uptrend. Now this week it's busting above the 100 week moving average, which is down here at 191. And so if this level holds, then that would be very bullish. You know, it busted above the 50-week moving average a couple weeks ago and kept pushing higher. Now if the candles work back in the bands, you want to see that 191 hold. The upper Bollinger Band's way down here at 185, so it is pushing really hard this week. This week's candle will not set until the closing bell on Friday. Okay, let's look at EVLV. Closed up nearly 18% here. You can see you have RSI at 72, Fasto up here at 96. So it is pushing hard. You know, it's hitting resistance from over here in March. So it closed right at the key resistance level. This is where it stalled out last time. And so if it can bust above here, then you could see a run up here, maybe up to this 137, 147.50, a recent high from back here in January. Now, if it stalls out here, what it really needs to do is stay above this gold, blue, and red line. This is the 100, 300, and 200-day simple moving averages. It was a really strong move closing above all those levels. I thought maybe it would stall out and fail to do so. So that is a really strong close. So congrats to everybody that's in this. You know, I heard that there's like talk about they could be getting bought out by Amazon. I think that's what created this big spike here. You know, I could be wrong, but I think that's what they were saying in the chat. But it did form this black candle here after a gap up open. You can see that there's a gap between high of day yesterday, or on high of day on Monday and and low of day on Tuesday. And so if when that black candle forms, that is it can be a red flag. Many times the candles will work back into the bands when that happens. So we look at that as a risky setup, and it was hitting the 200, 300, and 100 day simple moving average resistance zones. So I am surprised that it did push higher. So maybe that news is legit. We'll see. So it all comes down to breaking this 125 level. Above 125 will be bullish tomorrow. Now, if it pulls back and it drops back below this 115 level, that's going to be a red flag. You want it to stay above this red descending resistance line, okay? Because it's breaking out of this previous channel. You have descending support, ascending or descending resistance. It broke out above. You want it to stay above those levels. Now. If you look here at the EVLV, a longer term weekly chart, you can see here with hitting 72 on this last big run that it had back here in November of 2017. It did push all the way up here into the 80s on RSI. Fasto hitting 96. As you can see, it's only had, you have to go way back here way back here into April, and it did take a pause after that. Took a little breather after hitting 96. So it is frothy on Fasto. It was pushing really hard. If you look back here on this November move, you could see the gap up open, and then notice how there was a gap between low of day on this candle, or high of day on this candle, and low of day on this candle. And then you could see after the black candle, it did push higher. It formed that white candle, red candle, and it worked its way back up. But if you look over here, it did come back over and fill that gap. So the gap got filled eventually. It took a while for it to finally happen, but it did happen. It came back, because that's what penny stocks tend to do, is they fill gaps. And so in my opinion, this huge gap down here, it is a red flag. This could push higher. It could work its way back up here. That this 160 level would be the big level to break, all the way up here. If the news is good and they're going to get bought out, it should be able to work its way back up here to 155, right? I mean, getting bought out by Amazon, that would be huge. If I've got that story correct, I'm not, don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard. And so to me though, that this is a really risky setup. It has the air below the black candle, which I personally don't like the black candle setup, even though it did work out this time, back here, and then eventually it did fill that gap. Anyways, this is an interesting chart. It had that giant volume spike. Look at that volume. This is a 1-year chart, so this is some of the largest volume in a this might be the largest volume day ever yesterday for it. So that was huge. If you look here at accumulation distribution, you can see how it dropped down here. There was a spike down, and see how there's a spike down on CMF. And so to me, those were red flags. So you had, but they could have been pulling it back to loading, but it seems like there was some some dilution possibly. But hey, maybe they pull back, loaded for the potential run higher. Well, we'll see. It's just going to be all about 125. Break above 125, and it could work its way back up to 155. Fail to break that 125 resistance and stay above the moving averages, and it could work its way back down to that back down to that gap level. Okay, if you look at the 15-minute chart for EVLV, you'll see here that it had this sideways channel, and then it formed the ascending support here, and then there was a break above 112. That was the top of the channel. When that happened on this last second to last candle, that was really bullish. And then you could see here on the last candle of the day, it broke out at the high, that high that was made at the open, and so that was signaling more upside. It pushed really hard into the close. Okay, so that was a really strong bullish close there. But yeah, there was sometimes when that happens into the close, it ends up pulling back and taking a breather, because it gets a little overextended. For people that traded ticker symbol MARA, they know what I'm talking about. It had the same kind of move into the close, and had that Fasto that was overextended, and then it did pull back the next day. Okay, let's look at IPI. Okay, this closed up nearly 19%. Okay, so keep an eye on this one. It had a huge volume spike today. Look at the big volume, and it's hitting the key resistance level. If you see it break above this December high close, this 480 to 490 resistance zone, it could run up here to 510. So this is a potash company, and so this is getting into the spring planting season, so they're probably selling lots of fertilizer, and so yeah, if you see a break above this 480, 490, it should head higher. And then if you look at the IPI weekly chart, you can see it has this really strong uptrend going. I mean, this was a sweet load from back here in 2016 when it hit this dollar level, and you know that this has been a great long-term swing trade for people. You can see what, you know, if the candles are, if you're a longer term investor, you know, you're looking at this as a longer term thing, then you want to go by the weekly chart. And if the weekly chart's bullish and the candles are riding above the middle Bollinger Band, and as you can see here, they're above the green line, which is the 50-week moving average, and above the 100-week moving average, you know, that's a signal that it has a good uptrend. Right now, you can see where it's hitting this December high close level. If it can close above that for the week, that's going to be really bullish, okay? Because you know, it could bust above 5, and then it could head, you know, that was the high here, and then the target's going to be this 200-week moving average at 584. You could see the top of the channel is all the way up here near $7. So if it works its way back up to the top of the current channel, you know, it could hit that $6 to $7 level. Okay, let's look at RESN. Okay, it closed up 12.5%. RSI is above 55. You've got Fasto at 76. Check out how ADX is just getting going. You know, it's just ticking up here, so it's not like parabolic yet. You know, I like this type of close when you have a close above the 50-day simple moving average. You can see the green line there. There hadn't been a close above this level since way back here, you know, before, you know, support broke and this nasty downtrend and everything. So this close above, especially on this big volume spike, it is a signal that this stock is in play. It needs to stay above that level. It needs to stay above 410. If it dropped below 410, it would signal more consolidation. As you can see here, it's trying to break out of this, you know, it had this like sideways channel going on here. You know, it's channeling sideways, you know, and it broke out. It had this really tight thing, broke out above the top of high close. You know, there was this gap level here, so it's hitting the top of this gap. That's always a tough level, so keep that in mind. You know, that this green line here is going to be a big one to break. If it can bust above this 420 level, you know, it could work its way back up here to the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages up at $5. Okay, keep in mind you are going to have, you know, resistance in here. You know, there's going to be some resistance on these candles, but yeah, you know, you get the point. It could work its way up to $5 if it stays above that 50-day simple moving average. And then check out VICR. Now this is, you know, does trade at $37 a share. It closed up nearly 27% today. Check out how it's breaking out. It had the gap up open and it pushed through the upper Bollinger Band on a big volume spike. So this is a huge move. This is in the technology, electrical components sector. You know, it seems like there were several stocks in the sector that have been moving, and so yeah, this has got a nice uptrend going. It does have an unfilled gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today. You know, this gap down here didn't fill. So yeah, I'm not sure you know, what's going on, if they reported earnings or what. But yeah, it had a really it's on a really strong 3-week move, and as you can see, it's hitting over here on this 2000 back. You have to go back to 2000. This whole 2000 2001 levels is where it's hitting right now, and so if it can bust above this 38 to 40 level, you know, it could work its way back up to near 48 to 50. You know, that's that high from back in 2000. So you can see this week it's pushing, or this month, this is a monthly chart. I had to use a monthly chart because this is a 20-year chart. So you know, you had to go back, you know, way back to find where this stock has been, and notice how it's been on really big volume. So this is impressive. Yeah, see maybe if it can work its way back up to $50. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of stocks that are newly trading. First up is AGMH. You know, I never heard of this. I just saw the chart. It's thinly traded, 165,000 shares, up 25%. As you can see, it's only been trading for a few days. You know, it just started trading on the 18th. It closed today above high close horizontal resistance. So that breakout above, this is the highest close ever in the history of the stock. You know, now you're looking at the open on this candle, and then 15 is the all-time high. So it's only been trading for a few days. I don't know if it's working its way back up here or what. You know, it's hard to chart these the stocks that are just trading. I just thought this was interesting, something to keep an eye on. You never know, it might work back up to 13, 15 level. I guess for this, an easy way to go would be if it drops below EMA4, now that it's showing, that would be a signal that it's consolidating. It needs to stay above this pink line, stay above $9 to keep pushing higher. Okay, let's let's look at GNPX, another one, same type of play, closed up 18% on light volume. This has only been trading for a few weeks, for the last month. It closed above high close resistance as well. The closing price right here was the key level to break. This is the highest close ever in the history of the stock on a big volume spike. I mean, it's super thinly traded. So basically, if it can come up here and break this 625 level, the April 9th close, that's going to put it into blue sky breakout territory. If it gets above this level, there's no history of it ever trading at those levels, and that becomes a blue sky breakout. Now, if it comes up here and it hits this level and it stalls out, since it's been on a 4-day run already, that would signal the temporary top. It could temporary top out right here because it's hitting the high from back here, the previous high. You notice how it stopped right at that level. If it does, you want to see EMA4 down here at 515 hold. Okay, let's look at TZOO. Closed up 24%. Yeah, this is pretty frothy here with the RSI at 87. You have FASTO that ticked down there on that upper wick pullback. You can see the upper wick here on today's candle. That shows some profit taking off a high of day. This had a big breakout. It gapped up open above the 300-day simple moving average, and it pushed higher. Yeah, it's got an unfilled gap between high of day yesterday, the top of this candle, and low of day today. Well, basically, it needs to stay above 830, stay above that level, and that signal wants to keep pushing higher. Notice the giant volume spike here. If you look at the weekly chart, you'll see the next key level to break. It hit it, the red line. That's the 200-week moving average at 10:01. If it can close above that level and turn it into support, that'll signal it wants to head higher. And then this $11 level will be the big level to break. That's this high right here. If it fails to get above 10, that would be a red flag signaling a temporary top. You want it to stay above this descending resistance line, okay? Because it's trying to break out of this channel. If it pulls back in below this line, that would signal that it's topping out, possibly. It has to stay above the 100-week moving average, the goal line at 909. So above 9, it signals that it's bullish, but it has to break above 10. Okay, so now let's look at Ccrc. I know there's some random stocks in here that nobody's probably ever heard of. They were just the big percentage gainers. Closed up 390%. It did make a bullish move today. It looks like it's working its way back up here to this 20 level, possibly 23. That high, I don't know if this is an all-time high close or what, but a recent high close. I just thought it was interesting. It had this big volume spike back here. Notice how it had a big volume spike on this little candle. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but maybe maybe this was some front loading or something. I'm not sure what's going on with this play. It has some volume down here. It's pushing out. It's trading above all the moving averages. It could work its way back into the bands here. You want to see EMA4 at 1683 hold. You want to see a break above 19. If it breaks above 19, it could possibly run up to 21. Okay, so check out this marine transportation stock. This is ticker symbol STNG. Closed up nearly 14%. It has RSI now at 73. And FASTO at 94, so it's starting to get frothy. It does have a bullish crossover on ADX there. The close today above the gold line was bullish, the 100-day simple moving average at 259. It needs to hold that level. It needs to break this resistance from over here in January. If it can bust above, this 285 will be the big level, and then you'd be looking for it working its way up to that 200-day simple moving average at 306. Now, if it dropped back below that 100-day simple moving average, it might come down and fill the gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today. So a drop down here to around that EMA 8 level, down to 240 would fill the gap. Okay, and then finally, let's look at AST, another thinly traded stock. It did close up 12% today. Yeah, this was discussed as well. It hit the middle Bollinger Band. The key was for it to close above that level at 142. The middle Bollinger Band is this dotted purple line. That's also the 20-day simple moving average. This is the upper Bollinger Band up here, the solid purple, and then you have the lower Bollinger Band down here, solid purple, and then the middle Bollinger Band. It's like the 50-yard line in the playing field. And so stocks that are candles that are forming above signal possible uptrend. Candles forming below like this signal downtrend. And so the only way this is going to break a downtrend is if it closes above that middle Bollinger Band at 142 and turns it into support. If it does that, then you'd be looking for a run up to that middle Bollinger or upper Bollinger Band at 161. Get above that, then the 50-day simple moving average at 175 will be on deck. Now fail to get above that middle middle Bollinger Band would signal more consolidation. It's only a good play for a long trade if it can get above that level. Notice that the green dots here, they've been up above these candles since way up here, and then today was the first time that there was a flip below. That's parabolic SAR. SAR stands for stop and reverse. It signals that this downtrend might be stopping and a new uptrend could begin, but that all depends on whether or not that middle Bollinger Band turns into support. It did close above EMAs 4, 8, and 13 today. That's the first close above EMA 13 since back here on this doji in the second week of March. There was a bullish crossover on the MACD 12, 26, and 9, and on the 8, 13, and 5. They both, these are all signals that a possible new uptrend could be beginning. It's just a matter of breaking through resistance. You have Fasto at 50, RSI at 42, so there's a lot of juice in the tank. The red flag is this is a thinly traded stock. It only traded 270,000 shares or whatever. So thinly traded stocks are tough to trade. We like to look for stocks that have more liquidity. Okay, thank you very much for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, please come check out the chat. I'll post the link below the video. Thank you.